we have Sean Rose coming up first with the stories making the news this weekend. We've got quite a lot on our plate. A lot has happened. We have, of course, the tragic death of some of our young people, accidents, motor scooter accidents of some of our young people, some injured, some dead. And there are a lot of issues surrounding those events. Also, I understand that there is a 12-year-old girl that's been missing for maybe more than a month or almost a month now, and no one seems to know where she is. So we're gonna have an interesting program. Call your friends, call your family. They could tune in right here to JTV Live, channel 55, or they can catch us at jtvlive.net on the World Wide Web. Sean, let's get to it. A lot happening in the territory this week. Over the last several weeks, actually, we've had two deaths with young people on motor scooters.
Yes, well, good evening, Edgerenka, good evening, viewers. In fact, I'm just returning from St. Vincent just a few minutes ago, actually. Thanks to Liat's timeliness today, I was able to make it back in time for the show. I went to St. Vincent, Edgerenka, courtesy of Traveler Wise and Luther Butler over there. They assisted in me traveling to St. Vincent. We're going to get to that, but let's start with that topic that you introduced a while ago, the issue of accidents involving scooter riders in the BVI. We recall that tragic incident on New Year's Eve 2013 when a young man, Jovan Alex Chapman, lost his life right there on Tortola. He crashed into a taxi somewhere between Slaney and Prospect Reef, and that was really tragic because he died on the spot, and many people realized that he was not wearing a helmet. Of course, speeding might have been a factor as well. The extent to which he might have his life might have been saved had he been wearing a helmet may be questionable, but the importance of a helmet has been recognized in that particular tragic incident. And now we're hearing of another death by unconscionable and careless riding, again, this time out at the Terence B. Lettsome Airport on Beef Island, happening just this Sunday. And it seems as though these guys are competing, for the negative side of the news, because another young man who is unnamed at this point, he also got in an accident at the Waterfront Drive, just at the intersection here on the Walter Francis Drake Highway. Now, these are really serious issues because in all instances, the riders were not wearing a helmet. And in the latter case, on the Walter Francis Drive, we are advised that the rider actually ran the traffic light. He broke the light. He disobeyed the traffic laws and ran into a vehicle, almost lost his life. He sustained injuries and was apparently hospitalized. We're not sure what state he is in at this time. I'm not sure what you make of these incidents, Edgerenka, but clearly from my perspective as a media person and as someone who rides motorcycles as well, I can tell that these are all careless riding, and there is a need for much more caution on the roadways, not just among motorcyclists, of course, all cyclists and pedestrians, but clearly the issue of riding without helmets is a matter that needs to be taken by the horns.
Yeah. Well, Sean, in all things you need to have respect. If you're using a power tool, you need to have respect for that tool. It can hurt you if it's not handled properly. If you're driving a car, you need to have respect for that car. It can hurt you if it's not well maintained, if you're not driving it properly. And motorcycles and scooters and bicycles and walking in everyday life and respecting each other as human beings. Respect to me is really an important thing. I think it shows lack of respect for the things that we do. Lack of respect for our traffic, lack of respect for obeying our laws, lack of respect for obeying our parents.
Lack of respect for life.
Lack of respect for life. So these things will happen if that's the mindset that we are carrying around today as human beings in the Virgin Islands. So, I think for us to start looking around now to get the police to enforce the traffic helmet, the helmet law
Regulations,
or
yes.
regulations or the traffic regulations. I don't see what more the police can do. Certainly, the police can't catch everyone riding without a motorcycle. We won't have enough police to do that with all the things that's going on and all the responsibilities that they have. It's just all of us going to have to take responsibility for our lives. Our parents going to have to take responsibility for raising our children in a way where they respect life and everything around in the environment. So there's really no one to blame but ourselves. So we need to take it as a society that somewhere along the lines we are failing as adult human beings, and we're seeing the result of that failure, of that lack of paying attention to our environment, paying attention to our families, paying attention to our children, manifesting in varying and deviant social behaviors.
Because I'm sure someone saw Malik Aaron or Jovan Alec Chapman at some point riding a scooter without a helmet. And if we love and care about our friends, we should advise them and encourage them to do the right thing. Because I think too that many young men often think that riding a motorcycle without a helmet is somehow cool, and it shows that you're willing to ride on the edge of danger, and you're really being your young exploratory self. But at the end of the day, apart from breaching the traffic regulations, we are actually putting our own lives at risk.
Another thing too,
and
Sean,
other people in the community as well.
Yeah, another thing too I've noticed over several years now, that we have become very competitive. Sports and is no longer fun. It's about winning. It's that drive and that motivation, that desire to win, to be on top, to be the best, to be better than others. And so you go to the limit, push yourself to the extreme to be the best and to be better than. And I think it takes the fun out of enjoying the sports or whatever we play at or whatever we engage in. Even in our work environment, the envy and the jealousy and all those things flare up because of the competitive nature of our behavior. So I think those are some of the things that are challenges, some of the social challenges that we're experiencing now in this competitive world. And everyone is stressing competition. Competition is good. We should be competitive in the marketplace. We should be competitive in everything we do. We should be the best that we can be. We should, and that's great. It's fine to be the best that you can be.
Yes.
But when you want to be better than to such an extent that you lose respect for life, then it becomes pathological, it becomes dysfunctional. So
right.
I think those are, from my perspective, and looking at what's been happening in the environment and interacting with some of the young people, I see some changes that I'm not sure that we're going to be able to address in the near future.
And there are the socio-economic challenges there, because these families are now mourning, and they also have to bear the cost, the expense of laying these young men, putting them to rest. Another issue that is of concern to a particular family at this time is also the case of a missing 12-year-old, Serena Wharton. According to police reports, she has not been seen since December 12, 2013.
Well, that's interesting to me. December 12, 2013. This is January 21st.
She wasn't at home for Christmas.
This is January 21st, and this is the first time I'm hearing of this. Right? So,
right.
Today, the
Yes.
news, this is the first week I'm hearing of this. And you would figure that a child is missing for over a month.
Yes.
And where is the police? Where is social development? Where are all the agencies that are charged with the responsibility of looking out after the well-being of a child? What's happening with the parents?
It would be good to hear from someone. It would be good to hear from the mom, the dad, the families, friends.
Yeah.
why we weren't told where Serena, or that Serena was missing since before Christmas.
Why isn't there a massive manhunt, child hunt? I mean, the other few months back, we had an elderly lady who was suffering, I understand, was suffering from Alzheimer's and wandered off.
Yes, Ms. Faulkner in Anegada.
Yeah, and we were looking for her for months. And from the moment that she didn't come back, well, from the time that she didn't come back home, and people really began to be worried. The cry went out, a national cry went out to look for people who came from all over the territory to try to help to find her. And we have a child now, 12 years old, missing for more than a month, and there's no public outcry. There is no, there is no alert. It's just now becoming a real serious issue. That is a strange case to me.
I do think so myself. I understand that she is a student of the Joyce Samuel Primary School, and she has friends and relatives across Tortola and USVI. So there is the possibility that she could have moved between any of these groups. However,
without the knowledge of her parents.
Yeah, precisely, given that time span, this is really something.
Without St. Thomas without a passport.
Oh, okay. So at least the immigration authorities.
She has her own. She has her own money. I mean,
yes,
I'm just
a lot of questions
I'm just raising some of the things that come to my mind immediately.
Right.
I mean,
is
without even thinking about it.
That she's spending some time away from home. Is it the norm for her to be away from home
without anyone's knowledge?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And these are things that parents also have to bear in mind, because one day can turn into a month in terms of your child going missing. But
what is a home? What is a home environment?
That's
what are the responsibilities of the parents?
Yeah.
So that's another sad case, and it's just not understandable to me how something like that could happen, and you're just hearing about it now, and there's no real public outcry from any of the agencies that's charged with.
Well, we look forward to hearing
more
more
situations,
because I'm sure there is much more to be said about this, and of course other stories. I'd like to end where we started at Juenka in relation to my visit to St. Vincent, courtesy of TravelWise, to view the distribution end of the supplies that the British Virgin Islands community sent to the Vincentians affected by the Christmas Eve floods of 2013. So after the storm, people are recovering. Of course, the life continues for the most part. The country's Prime Minister, the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, just tabled his 2014 budget of just over $900 million. Now, that's going to require supplementary estimates given the extent of the damage, because he noted in his budget address yesterday that there are some $300 million in damages, and looking at the current budget, more money will be needed, of course, from international sources as well to assist with the recovery process. 14 bridges were damaged, and another 14 would be in need of repairs.
But that's quite a catastrophe, Sean, and I have to commend you for your work here in the Virgin Islands and mobilizing the people of the Virgin Islands to assist the people of St. Vincent. And we also need to commend the people here in the Virgin Islands to make significant contributions, who came out in droves and brought foodstuffs and clothing and
household
items and supplies. Yes. I think it was a great effort, and it's a good story in coming out of what is a catastrophe.
That's right.
Where human beings are helping each other. Our brothers and sisters in the Virgin Islands are helping our brothers and sisters in the other Caribbean areas and St. Vincent, and I think with St. Lucia and Dominica as well, that were affected by the storm. So that's to me a good story coming out of a bad situation, and we need to act more in that spirit.
The community here definitely is being commended for the act of generosity. I can tell you too that people at home were very eager to say thank you, and we have a few of those people speaking on video. So folks who are tuned to JTV News later on this week will get to see and hear from these people and to feel the sense of gratitude that they expressed.
Well, Sean, great stories. Looking forward to hearing the details. especially in relationship to the young lady. Condolences, of course, go out to the families
Malik
of the
Aaron and again,
yes.
Jovan Alex Chapman.
Yes, and you know the brother that's in the hospital, and
Yes.
and you know so. We need to really start paying attention to our behavior and start to have respect for our environment and for life generally. And of course, we wish continued growth and development for the people of St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and Dominica. We're going to take a break.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.